Hi, my name is Chris, and I'm adopted. When I tell people this, they usually respond in two ways. One of them being, "You're so lucky." In many ways, I am lucky. On February 8th, 1985, I arrived in the United States, landing at the Detroit airport on the heels of a snowstorm. This was during a time when anyone could enter the airport and walk up to the gate. So despite the storm, I was greeted by my parents, extended relatives, and friends. I gained a family that day, and so I choose gratitude for the beginning of my known history as Chris Dietrich. Growing up, my parents prioritized education above all else. They instilled in me that I would graduate from college no matter what. This was inspired by my parents' upbringing. Both came from lower class families and worked modest careers. My mom a secretary and my dad a machinist. They worked 7 days a week and took a few vacations throughout our childhood, opting instead to save money to put my brother and me through college. Fulfilling their wishes, I did earn a degree from a reputable university, and so I choose gratitude for their investment in my education. My parents also made an effort to engage me with my Korean identity. They sent me to Korean culture camp and even tried to learn some basic vocabulary. They also coordinated annual picnics with other families in the area that had adopted Korean children. And so I choose gratitude for the opportunity to connect with my roots, even though I was not yet ready. My parents were involved in my life because their parents were not. My dad didn't see much of his faults, as they were busy putting dinner on the table in a small house crammed with 5 kids. So he vowed to be present in my endeavors, which included driving me an hour one way every Tuesday so I could take lessons from the best trumpet teacher in Detroit. My mom grew up with a working mother, which was quite uncommon in the 1950s, and an alcoholic father, leaving her childhood home filthy and broken. So she overcompensated by cleaning our house daily and sheltering me from the complexities of the adult world, just so I could have what they did not, a childhood. And so, again, I choose gratitude for parents who wanted to be a part of my life. So far, adoption seems pretty nice, right? Well, let's revisit the beginning. Hi, my name is Chris, and I'm adopted. When I tell people this, they usually respond in two ways. The other being, "I'm so sorry." Yeah, you're right. In many ways, I am sorry. On February 8th, 1985, I left Korea, leaving behind a birth parent and culture. I did not know what the weather was like that day, or who, if anyone, was at the airport to say goodbye. And so I choose grief for the holes in my story back when I was known as Son Kyung-ho. I finally returned to Korea just a few years ago. I thought I would blend in better than I did. I struggled to communicate with the locals. Even when we did communicate, a cultural barrier stood between any meaningful connection. And so I choose grief for missing out on my language and culture. My classmates growing up singled me out because of my race. Kids slanted their eyes at me and called me Jap, even though I'm Japanese. Anti-Asian sentiment was pretty prevalent where I grew up. Because of this, I began to despise my own people, bullying other, more defenseless Asians. When I became an upperclassman, I remember being introduced to a freshman of Taiwanese descent and telling him that flat out I hate Asian people. And so I choose grief for the shame that I felt towards my own race. Shame turned into denial. In grade school, I remember feeling embarrassed to be seen with my parents. And I'm not talking about the embarrassment kids see or kids experience when their parents kiss them in public. I'm talking about the embarrassment I felt when the kids would look at my parents and realize that I looked different from even them. So when my parents picked me up from school in 4th grade, a classmate spotted them and asked if I was adopted. I felt my ears begin to burn, so I answered, "I'm not adopted." I don't know what was worse, My fake answer, or his response to that, good. I continued to ignore my adoption, making up a story in 6th grade that my adopted mother got pregnant in a Chinese food every day before giving birth to me. Kind of awkward. And so I choose grief for denying my own identity. As a child, I found it difficult to relate to others. I was emotionally immature for my age, lacking the ability to cope with my feelings, let alone recognize them. I replaced my tantrums with stoicism, refusing to show vulnerability, keeping an emotional distance that felt safe. It kept me out of trouble, but also away from intimacy. And so I choose grief, or feeling isolated, disconnected from others. At the same time, I lacked a positive adult figure that looked like me. In Western society, Asian men have been underrepresented and portrayed as one-dimensional. We've had to settle for the table scraps of trusty sidekicks, sexist nerds, and comic relief. Seeking acceptance, I internalized these caricatures in my social circles. I didn't realize that I was suppressing my true self until much later. And so I choose grief for feeling unwanted and unseen. Throughout my life, I've struggled to choose between gratitude and grief, treating them as either or. Only recently, having begun to regard adoption as a duality, it is both gains and losses. So I want to leave you with the idea today that you don't have to straddle between gratitude and grief, that it is possible to hold both at the same time. To reinforce this idea, I brought with me the flag of my birth country. This is the South Korean flag. I had no idea that there'd be all these flags in the room. You get the picture. So, you'll notice that this flag includes several dualities. It includes heaven and earth in the corners, fire and water, the lower left to the upper right corner, and positive and negative cosmic forces in the center, also known as yin and yang. Despite these opposing ideas, they manage to coexist on the same plane. And so I choose gratitude and grief. Thank you.